Case number 9417, September 4, 2017, homicide assault. Victim number 1, Mia Dados. Around 7:46 p.m., a call was placed to the police by Becca Thompson. She reported that she was jogging at Lake State Park with a friend. She found a bloody finger on the trail, but seconds later spotted her running partner, Mia Dados. Mia was unresponsive and located 2.1 meters northwest of the finger. At 8:02 p.m., authorities arrived and pronounced Mia Dados dead. The autopsy revealed Mia had lacerations, broken capillaries, missing teeth, and there was a bullet lodged into her right pelvis. The two witnesses were Bo Brown and Mick Johns. As of right now, we know that Mia was 37, 5'6", 141 pounds, and had brown hair and blue eyes.
My buddy Mick and I were walking our dog down the trail. We heard several bangs, maybe 4 to 5 shots. We took off further down the trail. When we heard them, we saw the ambulance, the park ranger, and the cops pass us in the parking lot.
Where were you on the evening of September 4th?
I was walking in the woods. What do you guys want with me? I'm not answering any more questions until I have my lawyer sitting next to me.
Do you know the victim?
No, I've never seen her before.
What did you do after you heard the gunshots? After you called 911?
We left. If there were gunshots, we didn't want to stick around.
Do you have any pets?
No.
Were you running with Mia Dados on the evening of September 4th?
Yeah, Mia and I run every Monday. We gets her out of her house when she needs a break from her husband.
Tell me about Mia's husband.
James has his moments. Most of the time he's pleasant. He is head over heels with love in Mia. I mean, you don't think he was involved in this, do you?
Did you witness what happened to her?
No, Mia's much faster than I am. We usually meet up at the end of the trail. I heard gunshots and picked up my pace. I was terrified when I saw all the blood and that finger and then eventually Mia.
How long did it take you to find the body?
After the sounds of the gunshots, I ran quickly for another mile or so before seeing her. Maybe 10 minutes.
What did you do when you saw Mia Dados' body?
I screamed. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I called 911 right away.
You said you called 911 right away, but if you got there 10 minutes after hearing shots, so 7:40, what did you do for 6 minutes before you called 911?
I was hysterical. Could you imagine what it was like to find your friend face down in the woods? I ran over to her to see if she was okay. Her body was still warm, but she had no pulse. Blood was everywhere.
Who else was close to Mia? Anyone who had motive to hurt her, a grudge, or a fight?
She had lots of friends. I can't think of any conflicts.
Was Mia acting strangely or involved in anything unusual prior to her death?
No, nothing unusual.
Why go running together if you and Mia run at different paces? What's the point of going together if you aren't running together? Why not just meet up after? How do you manage to get a mile behind her by the time the shots were fired?
Mia and I have been running together since college. She's always been faster. We run the first mile together and then finish at our own pace. After we catch up on the previous week over food, it's what we do. Did.
How many gunshots did you hear?
At least 4.
Why did Mia need a break from James?
James is a wonderful man. All 3 of us met our freshman year of college. James suffers from PTSD, and Mia had difficulty understanding what he was going through. She probably could have been a bit more compassionate. He served for several years in Iraq. He's seen and done some horrible things. Their marriage suffered quite a bit, but they were working on their differences.
Did you see Mia with anyone on the trail prior to death? Did you see anything or anyone who appeared suspicious coming from the crime scene or anywhere on the trail?
There was a state park pickup truck that drove off rather shortly after I discovered Mia's finger on the trail.
Why did you say James used to be head over heels in love with Mia? What changed?
When James returned from the Middle East, he was a different man. Little things agitated him. He and Mia argued often. He ended up seeking professional help and was diagnosed with PTSD. Since then, they went to marriage counseling as well. Their relationship was on the mend. With a lot of work, the relationship was almost like they fell in love all over again.
How would you describe your relationship with your wife?
I loved her. I would have done anything for her. We have to find out who hurt her. I will, if it's the last thing I do.
Have you ever been aggressive or physical with her?
Never. We have 0 debt. Come on, what's this all about?
What brought you to the hospital the night of September 4th?
Well, I was cleaning my gun, you see, and and I didn't realize that there was a round in the chamber. And so when I was doing this, it's a pow! Luckily, it was just a flesh wound.
Do you know Mia or James Dedos?
I've never heard of either of those. No, don't know. Not at all.
There are 4 different ways to search a crime scene: grid, line, zone, and spiral. For this crime scene, we used the grid method. We found a variety of evidence, but some that stood out the most were footprints, tire prints, and a cap that the source of where it came from was unknown. The tire print was found to be from an all-terrain TA KD BF Goodrich BAJA Champion, which are commonly found on 4x4 off-road vehicles, much like the park ranger's truck. After analyzing both footprints, we found one was the same size as our victim, Mia Dedos, and the second being a size matched to Tyler Mann, a size 9.5. As for the cap, it turned out to be a match for a flashlight that Tyler has. Adding on to these findings, a search and seizure of Tyler Mann's home was requested. A desktop computer and cell phone were analyzed by the state's digital forensics team. They were able to find 3.5 gigabytes of storage designated to photos of Mia Dedos. Most of the pictures of her were taken while she was running on the trail at Lake State Park.
Type O negative blood was found at the crime scene. It was a match to Mia and our prime suspect, Tyler Mann. To find the blood type, we took everyone's blood and added A, B, and Rh antibodies to see if they would agglutinate. We start this process by adding the blood individually to each section, A, B, and Rh. We then added A antibodies to the A section, B antibodies to the B section, and Rh antibodies to the Rh section. This example is Tyler Mann's blood. He has O negative, so none of the sections agglutinated. We also found that Becca Thompson has type AB positive, Bo has type AB negative, James has type A positive, and Mick has type A negative blood. The next blood that we analyzed was the types of blood spatter found at the scene. This spatter would tell us the types of injuries the victim and or suspect suffered from. The blood spatter shows patterns of gunshots, stab wounds, and bloody footprints. We know there is a gunshot because the first stain we noticed was spatter, and the dots were around 1 millimeter in length with a misty appearance. The stab wounds were present, and this was shown by the pool of blood featured under the body. The bloody footprint was an altered stain left by the suspect who must have stepped in the blood. The autopsy later informed us that the gunshot wound was to the pelvis and the other was to Tyler Mann's hand.
There are many different types of fingerprints. There are loops, arches, tented arches, and whorls. Everyone has a unique set of their own fingerprints. We have the fingerprint sets of Mia Dedos, Bo Brown, Mick Johns, Becca Thompson, Tyler Mann, and James Dedos. After analyzing all the sets of fingerprints, we concluded that the finger found at the scene was indeed Mia's left ring finger. The print found on the water bottle was Becca's right middle finger. The print found on Mia's legs was Tyler's right index finger. The print found on Mia's thigh was Tyler's right thumb, and the print on her shoulder was Tyler's left index finger. To match these fingerprints, we carefully examined the minutia and the type of fingerprint in order to correctly match the person to the fingerprint. Hair is different for every person. The outside part of the hair is called the cuticle. A human hair will have an imbricate cuticle pattern, while animal hairs are very different. The pigment part of the hair is called the cortex, and the medulla is the inside of the cortex, where the pattern is created by different sets of proteins. We looked at Mia's, James, Mick's, Becca's, and Tyler's hair samples and carefully studied the parts of the hair. We concluded that the first hair found at the crime scene was a dog's hair because the cuticle pattern was spinous. The second hair found at the crime scene we matched to Becca because the cuticle, cortex, and medulla all lined up. The third hair found at the crime scene was matched to Tyler Mann because the cuticle, cortex, and medulla matched the hair of his.
DNA fingerprinting includes a process called gel electrophoresis, where enzymes are added to DNA, and there are certain cuts made which create different lengths of DNA strands. The different lengths of strands creates a pattern in the gel which gives us our DNA results. The longer strands will stay farther at the top, while the shorter ones will travel farther down the lane. During the DNA fingerprinting process, we conclude that lanes 1 and 7 matched to Mia's blood at the crime scene, and lanes 5 and 8 matched to Tyler's blood and blood found at the crime scene from a gunshot. Matching the bullet casing to the common ammunition was how we discovered what the bullet found at the scene was. By examining unique markings left behind on the bullet as it passes through the barrel and the markings on the cartridge as it is hit by the firing pin, individual spent rounds can be linked back to a specific weapon. Bo Brown, Mia Ditos, and Becca Thompson all do not have gun permits. James and Mick Johns do, but their guns do not match the bullets found at the scene. Tyler Mann, however, did own a Glock G19, which fits the 9mm bullet found at the scene of the crime.
Tyler Mann first witnessed Mia when she first began running in the woods with Becca. He stalked her and took photos of her during her everyday tasks. On September 4th, 2017, Mia and Becca were running, and Tyler told Mia that he loved her and she rejected him because she was married. He became so angry that he began to stab her, causing lacerations and broken capillaries on the tissue above her right zygomatic bone. When she tried to fight back, he hit her and knocked her out her upper teeth. He then pulled out a Glock G19 and was so flustered that he accidentally shot himself in the hand. In pain, he shot her in the right pelvis and she was dead. Once he saw the wedding ring on her left fourth finger, he was so furious that she loved someone else, he cut her finger off. Becca was behind Mia as always, and once she heard the shots, she came running to check on her friend and found her unresponsive. She was hysterical and managed to call 911.